What if I told you that one of the most valuable cars in history is a vehicle that nobody wants to be seen driving? It is a masterpiece of engineering, worth millions of dollars, yet it carries a curse so dark that it has been hidden away in basements, disguised in shipping crates, and rejected by billionaires. This is the story of the Blue Goose and the Phantom Fleet of the Third Reich. It is a mystery that spans 80 years, from the burning ruins of Nazi Germany to the private collections of Russian oligarchs. Where did Hitler's personal armored beast go? And why is the world still hunting for the missing keys to the tyrant's favorite ride? To understand the mystery, we must first look under the hood. The Mercedes-Benz 770K Grosser was not just a car. It was a mobile fortress designed to project absolute power. Built in the late 1930s, this vehicle was known simply as the Super Mercedes. It was 20 feet long, weighed nearly 5 tons, and was powered by a massive 7.7-liter engine. But it was what you couldn't see that made it terrifying. The floor was armored to survive landmines. The glass was 2.5 inches thick, tough enough to stop a bullet from a machine gun. Only 88 of these giants were ever built, and only a tiny handful were made specifically for the Führer. These were not just vehicles, they were psychological weapons. Here is where the confusion and the mystery begins. History often speaks of Hitler's car as if there were only one. In reality, there was a small, ghostly fleet of them. There were parade cars for Berlin, staff cars for the front lines, and special, heavily armored versions for secret trips. Some had convertible tops for public rallies. Others were closed steel boxes for safety. This duplication was intentional. It was a shell game played with 5-ton limousines. If an assassin wanted to target the dictator, they never knew which car he was actually in, or if he was in the convoy at all. This deliberate confusion in the 1940s is the main reason why hunting down the real car today is nearly impossible. Fast forward to May 1945. The war in Europe was ending, Nazi Germany was collapsing, and the Allies were racing toward the Bavarian Alps. Their target was Berchtesgaden, the site of Hitler's famous mountain retreat, the Eagle's Nest. This wasn't just a military mission. It was a treasure hunt. American and French troops knew that the prizes of the regime, gold, art, and the famous cars, were hidden somewhere in those mountains. The rivalry between the U.S. 101st Airborne and the French 2nd Armored Division was intense. Both wanted the glory of capturing the dictator's personal lair. When they finally broke through, they found a scene of chaos. The master was dead in Berlin, but his toys were left behind. In the chaos of the capture, soldiers stumbled upon the prizes, hidden in garages, covered in camouflage netting, or abandoned on train cars, were the Super Mercedes. One particular car, chassis number 189744, was found with bullet damage, not from battle, but from drunken soldiers shooting at the bulletproof glass to test if it worked. It held. The soldiers were amazed. They had never seen luxury like this. They cracked open the glove compartments and found holsters for Luger pistols. They posed for photos on the hood, smoking cigarettes and drinking liberated wine. But in the excitement, nobody stopped to document exactly which car belonged to whom. Was this Hitler's favorite ride? Or was it just a guest car? One of the most famous cars captured was nicknamed the Blue Goose. For decades, many believed this was Hitler's personal vehicle. It was a beautiful, massive convertible with a distinct dark blue body. The U.S. Army paraded it around as the ultimate war trophy, but the mystery deepened when historians looked closer at the records. The Blue Goose didn't belong to Hitler at all. It belonged to his second-in-command, Hermann Göring. Göring, known for his flashy lifestyle, had customized his car with special aviation seats. While the Blue Goose is a priceless artifact today, it was a red herring. The real Führer car was black, menacing, and far more elusive. The true Hitler car, the black 770K, didn't stay in Germany. It was claimed by the U.S. Army and shipped across the Atlantic Ocean. But it didn't go to a museum immediately. Instead, it was put to work. In a strange twist of fate, the vehicle that once carried the world's worst dictator was now used to raise money for American veterans. It toured the United States in the late 1940s. Moms and dads paid a few coins to see the monsters machine. It appeared in parades, carrying Gold Star mothers who had lost sons in the war. It was a symbol of victory, a captured beast on a leash, paraded through the streets of the nation that defeated it. But as the years passed, the novelty wore off. By the 1950s and 60s, people wanted to forget the war. The giant black car, with its difficult maintenance and dark history, became a burden. It was sold from one private owner to another, losing its identity along the way. At one point, it was reportedly traded for a shipment of tobacco. Eventually, this priceless piece of history ended up gathering dust in an old garage in the United States. It sat there, flat tires and rusting chrome, ignored by the world. The local kids who played around it had no idea that the dusty old convertible next to the lawnmower had once been the most feared car on Earth. In 1976, the silence was broken. Two classic car hunters stumbled upon the vehicle. They thought they had found just another old Mercedes, perhaps one used by a minor officer. But when they checked the chassis number, 189744, they realized they had struck gold. They cross-referenced the number with the original factory logs from 1939. The records confirmed it. This was the car commissioned specifically for the Chancellor of Germany. The discovery sent shockwaves through the collector world. The beast was back. It was restored to its original condition. But this time, the world was different. The car was no longer just a trophy. It was a controversial relic that made people uncomfortable. While chassis 189744 was causing drama in the private market, another one of the 7 surviving Hitler cars found a quieter home. This one is currently sitting in the Canadian War Museum in Ottawa. Its story is just as fascinating. Captured by American forces, it eventually ended up in the hands of a Quebec businessman before being donated to the museum. This car gives us the best look at what the mystery cars looked like. It still has the bullet-damaged glass from the Liberation days. It sits in a dimly lit room, a silent witness to history. Unlike the others, this one isn't for sale. It serves as an educational tool, reminding visitors of the dangers of absolute power. With the value of these cars skyrocketing into the millions, a dark industry emerged: the counterfeiters. Over the years, dozens of people have claimed to find Hitler's lost Mercedes. They find standard Mercedes 770s, still valuable but not historically significant, and add fake armor plating or forged documents. They try to sell them to unsuspecting billionaires for huge sums. The market became flooded with fake stories and false leads. Identifying a real Führer car became a job for forensic historians. They had to analyze the metal composition, the stitching on the seats, and even the specific modifications made to the floorboards to separate the true monsters from the imposters. The mystery came to a head on January 17, 2018. The famous chassis 189744, the one found in the American garage, was put up for public auction in Scottsdale, Arizona. The anticipation was electric. The auction house expected it to break records, possibly selling for over $10 million. They promised that 10% of the proceeds would go to Holocaust education. But when the bidding started, something strange happened. The room went cold. Bids climbed to $7 million, but then silence. Nobody wanted to go higher. The reserve price wasn't met. The car that was once the ultimate symbol of power had become toxic. It failed to sell. The failure of the 2018 auction revealed a deeper truth. Owning this car is a moral nightmare. Who wants to park Hitler's limousine in their driveway? For a museum, it is a history lesson. For a private collector, it is a reputation destroyer. The mystery of the missing Mercedes is no longer about where the car is physically. It is about where it belongs. Morally, is it right to sell it for profit? Should it be destroyed? Or should it be preserved as evidence of evil? This ethical cloud hangs over the vehicle, making it a hot potato that the world's wealthiest collectors are afraid to touch. After the public failure in Arizona, the car vanished into the shadows again. Rumors began to swirl. Some insiders claimed it was sold privately a few weeks later. The whisper was that a Russian billionaire had purchased it for a massive sum, wanting to take the trophy back to the East. But this has never been officially confirmed. The car simply disappeared from the public eye. In the world of high-stakes collecting, silence is golden. If it was sold, it is likely sitting in a climate-controlled vault in Moscow or London, hidden away from the prying eyes of the press and the public. The mystery exploded again recently. In 2022, reports surfaced that an Australian billionaire, Clive Palmer, had purchased the car. The news caused an immediate uproar. Government officials threatened to block the import, citing laws against Nazi memorabilia. There were even concerns about asbestos in the old brakes, being used as a legal reason to stop the car at the border. The backlash was so severe that Palmer had to come out and publicly deny he had bought it. Was it a misunderstanding? Or did the buyer get cold feet after seeing the public anger? Once again, the car's location became a blur of denial and confusion. So, where is the most famous of Hitler's missing Mercedes today? The truth is, chassis 189744 is likely in legal limbo, stuck between a seller who wants millions and a world that refuses to pay it. It exists in a gray zone, too valuable to destroy, but too taboo to display. There are 5 surviving 770Ks scattered across the globe, from Ottawa to Lyon to Sinsheim. But the one that was supposed to be the crown jewel remains a ghost. It is the ultimate missing car, not because we don't know it exists, but because it has no place to go. The mystery of Hitler's Mercedes is not just about metal and rubber. It is about the lingering shadow of the past. These cars were built to make a dictator look like a god. Today, they are stripped of that power. They are just old, heavy machines that smell of gasoline and oil. Whether they are rotting in a garage or sitting in a museum, they serve as a powerful reminder. No amount of armor plating can protect a tyrant from the judgment of history. The cars survived, but the regime it served is dust.